Let's jump right into this explainer, guys, and begin our journey into the absolutely vast, totally alien-like world of the Pacific Ocean. It's a realm so enormous and honestly so wildly complex that exploring it really does feel like visiting an entirely different world hiding right here on Earth.
To truly wrap your head around the incomprehensible scale we're talking about here, just consider this number: 165 million square kilometers. That's the sheer expanse of the Pacific. Its shores touch countless nations, and the water just stretches out like an endless mirror reflecting the sky.
To put that into perspective, the Pacific Ocean is actually bigger than all of Earth's land masses combined. Think about that. It essentially acts as a second planet, basically hiding in plain sight. It's our planet's giant green lung, regulating the whole climate and literally producing half the oxygen we breathe.
But, the Pacific isn't just vast on the surface. It's also astonishingly deep. So you have to wonder, what bizarre secrets does a 10,973-meter vertical drop actually hold? Well, we're about to take a plunge from those sunlit, bustling coral reefs all the way down to the pitch-black abyss to find out.
Section 1. Secrets of the Abyss.
As we descend into these places where eternal darkness rules, we hit some truly extreme depths. We're plunging down into the Mariana Trench at 10,973 meters, the Tonga Trench at 10,800, the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench at 10,500, and the Kermadec Trench at 10,000 meters. Down here, the temperature hovers just above freezing, and the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than its sea level. That is literally enough pressure to crush solid steel.
Yet incredibly, life still finds a way. To survive in absolute blackness, creatures have to rely on bioluminescence. Take a look at the mesmerizing crimson Atolla jellyfish. People often call it the blood crown. It survives the abyss by producing its own eerie red light just to navigate the dark waters. And when it gets threatened, it flashes and actually releases these spiraling rings of bioluminescent light. It's this brilliant, flashy defense mechanism perfectly designed to completely confuse and disorient predators. But the abyss isn't the only place hiding creatures of the dark. Let's shift gears and look at the pitch-black volcanic lava tubes you can find on Pacific islands, like in Hawaii. These cold, constantly damp caves are home to troglobites. These are these blind, sort of milky-looking creatures that literally never leave the lava tube. A really fantastic example is the wonderfully named small-eyed, big-eyed hunting spider. Because, well, eyes are completely useless in total darkness, this spider has adapted these super-sensitive leg hairs. They pick out the absolute slightest movement in the air, allowing it to ambush those rare cave crickets.
Section 2. Castaways and Island Oddities.
Now this brings us to a massive, central mystery. How exactly did land-dwelling, flightless creatures manage to colonize tiny specks of land out in the middle of a massive, hostile ocean? Because realistically, almost all animal castaways would die of exposure or hunger long before they ever reached land.
Well, it all came down to sheer luck and some pretty extreme weather events. We're talking about unlikely voyagers getting swept out to sea on literal rafts of vegetation generated by massive tsunamis. We have powerful cyclone winds just sucking up insects and blowing them hundreds of miles off course. You even have wandering seabirds unknowingly transporting sticky seeds stuck right in their feathers. And of course, the ultimate plant castaway, the buoyant coconut, surviving up to 2 whole months just floating at sea before finally washing up and taking root in the bare sand.
And just look at some of these incredible survival stories. Because so few creatures actually made it to these islands, evolution went a little wild. Take the robber crab of Vanuatu. It grew to fill the niche normally taken by a medium-sized mammal. I mean, this thing weighs 4 kilograms, has a 1-meter leg span, and uses these incredibly powerful pincers to literally rip apart coconuts. No way you'd want to mess with that. Then over in New Zealand, there's the kakapo. It's a flightless, nocturnal parrot that's actually so heavy it has to climb trees instead of flying, and it can live for over a century. Oh, and you can't miss the tiny morning gecko. This little lizard is the ultimate castaway because it literally clones itself. Think about that. A single female washing up on a beach needs absolutely no mate to kickstart an entire island population. That is a real game changer.
Section 3. The Easter Island Mystery.
Now, to understand our next mystery, we have to look at the production of Easter Island's highly enigmatic moai statues at the Rano Raraku Quarry. Activity there likely began around 1455, with those massive stone statues being raised into place over the following century, right up until production suddenly ceased in the early 1700s. Now, for a very long time, it was just assumed that the nearly 400 statues left standing in the quarry were simply abandoned, just sitting there awaiting transport. But a recent massive archaeological revelation has completely upended that whole assumption.
This recent scientific breakthrough revealed a pretty fascinating loop, the Moai fertilizer feedback system. It turns out the carving process itself directly created essential agricultural abundance. It works like this. As workers dug deep into the bedrock to sculpt the statues, fresh rock fragments of that local stone, it's called lapilli-tuff, weathered and broke down. This released incredibly high levels of calcium and phosphorus right into the dirt. So the actual act of quarrying created this perfect natural fertilizer, yielding the island's absolute richest soil for crops like taro, sweet potatoes, and bananas.
This whole concept is summarized perfectly by Joanne van Tilburg, the director of the Easter Island Statue Project. She notes, the Moai were central to the idea of fertility, and in Rapa Nui belief, their presence here stimulated agricultural food production. Guys, this solves a centuries-old mystery. The ancient Rapa Nui intentionally left those upright moai right there in the quarry to protect the site's rich agricultural fertility. It's just a stunning example of intuitive indigenous farming.
Section 4. Humans and the Ocean.
Moving on, human migration rapidly accelerated the spread of life across the Pacific. The Polynesians, who were descendants of the Lapita people, took to their sailing boats, intentionally packing them with everything they'd need to start fresh. We're talking crops, livestock, plants, the whole shebang. But they also carried stowaways. Remember our little friend, the cloning mourning gecko? Well, it no longer had to rely on the sheer luck of a tsunami raft. It just hitched a free ride on these epic voyages, forever changing the biological nature of the South Pacific.
And humanity's reliance on this incredible ecosystem has only grown since then. Just look at the scale here, $1.7 billion. That massive number represents the 2023 sales from both commercial and non-commercial fishing in just the U.S. Pacific Islands alone, supporting nearly 16,000 jobs. It really goes to show just how absolutely critical the ocean remains to our modern survival and economic stability.
But thankfully, we are also learning how to give back. Local fishermen down in Fiji are actively rebuilding their ecosystems through what they call coral gardening. It's amazing. Gardeners monitor the reef and carefully uproot the crowded, struggling coral. They break these coral heads down into small little fingers and tie them to concrete discs. Then, these seedlings are spaced out on these underwater tables that get perfect sunlight and nutrients. After just 2 years, a single coral finger multiplies into 50 or more. Then they're harvested and successfully replanted right back onto the natural reef. It is such a remarkably effective way to bring life back to the ocean.
All of this leaves us with a final, pretty powerful thought. The Pacific is this vast living network, woven from threads that are so deeply connected. And yet, get this, over 80% of its floor remains completely unmapped. So, as we continue to discover the intricate, fragile connections within this alien world, are we really ready to protect what we have yet to even understand? Every unexplored square meter down there is a doorway to infinite possibilities, and our responsibility to it is greater than ever before. I really hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity about the incredible second planet we call the Pacific Ocean.